Well, hooly dooly, we're live. I'm going to pause for a second and share this out to Facebook, etc. Be right back. We're going to have about a 20-second delay, I hope. Okay, so we're back. We got a couple of people already. Hey, thanks for joining. So we're going to catch up on a couple of maybe 4 games, depending on questions and how interested folks are and things like that. So initially we're going to talk about 2 Eastern Front games. So we're going to talk about the World at War magazine game, the destruction of Army Group Center. Then we're going to immediately follow on from that and talk about Red Army, destruction of Army Group Center from GDW. And then ideally, if I have time, we'll talk about Operation Star from the Army Group South quad. And if I can restrain my frustration, we'll also talk about Hegemon, the ATO magazine #1, first game out of the chute for them as well. So that's kind of a big whack of stuff to get through. We'll see how we do. I may bore myself to tears and we may stop earlier. Who knows? All right, let me just say hi real quick. Who we got there? Hey, Jordan, good to see you. And Toro, nice to have you here. Everyone else who's joining in, if you just want to say hi, please do that so we know who's here. And it makes me feel good to know that maybe I've got some familiar faces and stuff like that. All right, so let's get started. And just so you know, I think there's roughly a 20-second delay from me seeing you post, like someone just posted a comment right now. So looks like John Duquette and FOT just said hi. So there's about a 20-second delay-ish thereabouts. So let's do this. Let's start off with something positive first, all right? Because we like to be positive. Army Group South, in particular, the Six Angles magazine, Japanese magazine version. I own the SBI boxed quad as well. I played this game. I played the Operation Star battle from this set of battles. There's Kiev, Rostov, Korsan, and Operation Star. And I would say, generally speaking, if you've played the SBI version, and you've probably played the Operation Star, the Six Angles version, all the battles are very similar. The rules haven't been changed very much at all, I don't think. I think what has been done in terms of a re-implementation is better art on the maps, better tracks to help you keep things more organized, and functionally it's a clearer, cleaner game to play. The charts are better and all that sort of fun stuff like that. All the rules translations worked out just great as well. So thoroughly enjoyed that, and I enjoyed it because it's the standard SBI move, fight, exploit, move type of game system, mechanized exploit move game system, locking Zocs and all this sort of stuff. And you think, well, gee, Kevin, how could that be interesting? The only thing that's different is the terrain and the forces. Well, no, because here is what's kind of cool. Out of the 4 battles, in fact, they've taken the time, the designers have taken the time to look at the battle and create very specific rules that generate some conundrums for both sides and force both sides to be thinking about how they're going to play the game and what they're going to defend, what they're going to try and take, what they're not going to try and take, and how much they're prepared to lose and when. And so that really puts you in the driver's seat as the general, which I really enjoyed. I thought that was a great exploration of the challenges that the Soviet, in particular the Soviet command, faced, because they were basically all ordered to attack and don't stop, right? And how do you facilitate that in the game? And they had a couple of nice rules in there that facilitated that. So really enjoyed it. I won't spoil the game for you and tell you too much about how that all came to be. But it was engaging enough that I got through the entire gameplay and felt like there was something there that I would want to share with a friend and play with a friend at some point. So it's something I'll be keeping. and we'll probably play again, which is, I guess, unusually high praise from me lately, since I seem to be selling games faster than I'm buying them. All right, so Operation Star from SBI, or Six Angles, depending on where you want to buy it from. I'm just going to check the comments here real quick. We've got 4 comments, 10 viewers. Hey guys, thanks for joining in. Hey Toro, good to see you, and Christopher and JTM, nice to have you here. Right, so brief, right? That was a very brief summary of the SBI game, and I assume that 99% of you know SBI titles, know the basic game mechanics from the game magazines. They're all the magazine games. They're all very similar. So I don't want to sort of delve into the deeper mechanics, but the game and the theme, the story that came out, the mechanics, the rule set really gave me a lot of comfort and a lot of confidence that A, I was playing it right, B, the rules were clear, and C, it was it captured the essence of the operation. So if you go read a little bit on Wikipedia or a book, a David Glantz book, or whatever the case may be, you'll find that this game's kind of played out that way. It worked out pretty cool. Which brings us to something that's not quite so cool. World at War, Destruction of Army Group Center. It's a type bomber game. And I posted a few pictures as we went along, and I was quite excited about the game when I first set it up. The map's big and pretty, and it runs from north of Riga, then down to cross to Königsberg, down past Minsk, and I forget how far south it goes. Belgorod, maybe? Belgorod, maybe? Fairly big area, 1 week turns, cores. I forget the hex size now. I guess we can look it up. Let's have a look, and I'll tell you because it's important. Otherwise, I didn't mention anything about the scale in the other game because it all worked. Whereas here, things didn't work just right. Let me see if I can. I'm trying to find this without tearing the game apart too badly. Scale. Belarusia. It says here somewhere, I want to say 10 miles a hex. Does that sound right? It's not going to say, is it? And we're rapidly losing interest in finding out exactly how big it is. All right. Well, the hell with you then. Don't tell me what the size of the hexes are. Scale. Here it is, 16 miles. Okay. So, that scale and the time scale causes a problem for the game. When you set this game up, the first 2 turns, there are a couple of rules that allow the Operation Bagration surprise attack by the Soviets to come into effect. And put it in context, it's 1944, the Germans are on their last legs, got pretty shitty units anyway, so it's a challenge no matter what. You're not going to keep a line, and we should all know that, and that's what happened historically, and big blowout, and Army Group North and Center were split, and it was just a disaster, and everyone got the stuff knocked out of them. Soviets did well, but Soviets ran out of supply because they were, more successful than they thought they would be, basically. Or other things happen. I don't know the exact details on why. But let's talk about the game and where I thought the game could be better and would have served us as a multiplayer game versus a one and done game. I felt like this was a little bit of a puzzle game to me. And I've been thinking about this concept of puzzles. What is a puzzle game and why do they matter, and are they useful, and do we want them? And we'll talk about that some other time. But this is kind of a puzzle game. This is a game where you play it, and until you work out how the Soviets get their breakthrough and break out and demolish all the units, you would probably play it 1, 2, or 3 times. Well, unfortunately, though, with this game and the system and the scale and the weekly time and the 16-kilometer hexes and stuff like that, and the cores and the replacement rate that basically you can afford to lose pretty much everything as much as you need, and you can replace your forces rapidly enough that really you have no fear, given the 10, 12, or 14, maybe even more turns in that game that you have. You've got lots of time, lots of replacements up until turn 6. And at turn 6, then all the units go out of supply, so everybody's halved, which just slows you down. It doesn't stop you. So you've got 6 turns to really knock it out and just go for it. Well, what I found was that by the end of turn 3, we're done. And I mean, really, like, we're done. There are 4 or 5 units left on the board that are German. All the Soviet units are back at full strength. And there's really no point in playing any further. Could we have spent 2 or 3 turns moving to Königsberg and taking Königsberg? Yeah, we could have. But I lost the thread of the game at that point. There was no purpose to continuation of play. There was no interest or excitement for either side, really. The Germans had 3 or 4 units left, and they were really pretty much stuck up in the north, holding the dam back there, while kind of midway down the map there was a blowout, and then you've got I think it's called the Pripyat marshes in the south, and those guys were starting to push out a little bit, although they have some boundaries, but they potentially could have pushed through and done stuff. They were knocking out some units. So it was all but over. And I thought, wow, this could have been so much better if it was a 3-turn or maybe even a 5-turn game. So it's a finite game, a shorter game, or a game that's broken up into smaller turns, one of the two, so that the movement rates are smaller, the amount of maneuver is restricted a little bit. But most importantly, I think it's the lack of tension for the Soviets to really achieve anything, because you just know that you can replace everything you've got and smack around at do 1-1 and 1-2 attacks and have at it. The game felt very, very generic, very Ty Bomba-esque, unfortunately. I'm starting to see a theme with some of his games after playing What If 1936, Putin Strikes, and a few others. They're fairly common, and common in not necessarily in a good way. Lots of great write-up about the game and history and stuff like that, and then you play this generic thing that doesn't tie back to the history. So that was disappointing. I think it's a one-and-done type of game unless you modify it and change it up and make it more interesting for yourself. So there's that. Let's see here. Hey, James and Gustavo, good to see you. Yeah, Gustavo, I'm going to answer that question in a little while. If you want to hang out, I will get to you. I'm going to finish what I'm doing first, though. Let's talk about Red Army, GW. Once again, it's the same topic as the Army Group Center from World of War magazine, but done very, very differently. It's a 4-map treatment with 10-kilometer hexes and large hexes too. Actually, it was very comfortable to play. Everything was at the divisional level for the Germans, which is fair enough. A lot of core units and some divisional units for the Soviets, but everyone had much smaller combat values and smaller movement rates, because we were working on 2-day turns, not weekly turns. Very tough terrain, which was absolutely not represented in this at all, this other one at all. And so it was a little more granular. There were roads. There were no roads in the other game. There's roads and rail in this. Interesting turn sequence as well that gave both sides a bite of the cherry twice a turn. So you can move and fight, and then a reserve move for the opponent, and then a second move and fight. Frank Chadwick rules, perfect, clean, crisp, understandable, excellent. No second questions or second thoughts about anything as far as the rule book is concerned. And then it kind of falls down a little bit. The CRT is pretty much standard, although it's a little different. You're taking step losses. So there's no. It's not your standard 1-4 5-to-1, 6-to-1 combat table. It's kind of uses step losses and retreats to kill off a unit, so you go full strength, reduced, and dead. And no replacements for the Soviets, which makes it, there are reinforcements but not replacements, which makes it very hard. And this is how they modeled supply really in this game, although there are supply rules that they used. Red Army uses this idea, I think, that, or what I found when I'm playing, is that you would take step losses and go, oh, I got to take step losses. I got to get this road or this town or this junction, and I have to blow up the line and penetrate and attack. And if I don't do that, then I don't win. So you go ahead and do that, and you take losses. You're like, wow, okay, well, I lost that guy. Fine, I got lots more corps. Let's bring those infantry corps in. Can't stack infantry corps. You can stack everything else, but not infantry corps. So you bring the next wave in, and they do a second round of attacks, and they go and do stuff, and you take a couple more losses. And the next time you go to move, the next turn, you're looking around going, I don't have any more guys that are full strength. I've got all this reduced crap, and it's not reduced by half; it's reduced by like 75%. So that was a great way to model the degradation of the forces over time. The other thing that I found was pretty fascinating was two different combat values. So first combat value was if you moved and attacked, and the second combat value was if you were stationary and attacked. The second one's much higher than the first one, so it's kind of like hasty attack, prepared attack type of thing. So all in all, without kind of laboring the point on my fandom for Chadwick Designs, clean, very thematic, very immersive. I blew through this. There's a 6-turn scenario and a 18-turn scenario. I blew through turn 6. Didn't even know it was turn 6. Just kept playing. I got to turn 10 and then finally it was over. But there was a checkpoint at turn 6 where I was thinking if I didn't like the game, I'd stop. I just blew straight through that. And in fact, I was behind historically. You know, the Soviets had a massive victory in the end, but at the turn 6 mark, they had not captured Minsk. So although I was losing units, I was not advancing at the rate that the Soviets had. And I think perhaps there was slightly better play by the Germans and slightly cautious play by the Soviets as I saw these losses starting to mount. So that was interesting. Anyway, it's a good game. It's obviously out of print. You can't get it anymore. You got to dig around and find it, but it's cheap. I picked that guy up for, I think, 20, 30, 40 bucks or something like that. I don't know how much it was. Good game. Let me just check comments since they're kind of racking up here. Oh, the TSW question. Oh, guys, you're killing me. We'll talk about that in a second, okay? That's going to cause me to have a drink. This is my watered down Irish whiskey. It's the last of it. All right, where did we get to? I want to talk about one other thing. Oh, so that's 3 games, right? I said maybe 4, so let's do the 4th one. Then we'll do the 2 questions that have popped up so far. So Hegemon, the ATO magazine game. Let me hold the magazine up since it's a little more attractive. This thing. It's been my experience that the ATO games are kind of hit or miss at best, and this is a pretty poor first effort, frankly. There's a great game to be had with this Hegemon system. It's an operational scale Ancients, so it's very rare to find a game about that topic. This is set around 339 BC, so it's Philip II of Macedon and his attempt to coalesce the Greek states, and also the sort of the infighting that was going on between the Thebans and the Athenians and other Greek states that are around. I'm still playing the game right now, but I decided to do a little test combat and came to a very stark conclusion that the combat system is just fundamentally wrong and broken. Either that, as I think now, either that or you have to do some fairly gamey things that don't seem right. And it it's borrowed this combat system from Caesar's legions in 1776. I was just talking to a buddy tonight, Eric, who kind of gave me the lowdown on the genesis of the game, right? And it's not good. It doesn't work right because it's too high a scale. I think if you're down at a battle scale, like in Caesar's Legion, doing smaller unit combat, then I think you've got something that would work probably okay, because you're using these three choices of tactical chits. I think for the defender it's hold, retreat, what's called withdraw, or counter assault, and so you've got those three on one on the column, and across the rows. At the odds level, you've got three more choices coming down, and so you get a matrix of 9 results, and their attack is probe and engage or assault or something like that. No matter what happens, unless it's a 0 loss for the attacker or a 10% loss for the attacker, and the defender loses, you can ignore that loss. No matter what happens, if you have to take a small loss of 25% or 50% or 75%, and the loss is actually calculated against the defender's total defense strength. So let's say in this case it was 12 points. So 50% of 12 points is 6. And 25% of 12 points is 3. 3. So 3 or 6. Well, guess what? 90+% of all the units are combat strength 8 and above on moving combat. They're higher on battle ready combat factors. So no matter what, I'm going to lose a unit. Well, I just had a result that said I'm going to take a very small fraction. So if I've got 100 combat factors attacking, and I'm attacking a force of 12 combat factors, I'm going to lose one entire unit, or nearly 10% of my combat force, against the defense. It just doesn't gel, it doesn't mesh, it doesn't work right, and it looks weird. And my first reaction when I did that was, that's curious. Let's look at these odds. And I started looking across the odds tables, and if you go all the way down to 1 to 5 combat odds, you can actually, if I chose as the defender to counter assault, I can inflict 25% losses on you and die. All my guys will die, but I can knock out a unit. Now, if I'm Philip of Macedon and I have no replacements, and let's say that I get surprised by you and you attack me, and I've got some stack with my Sarissa units in it, and they're all together, you kill one of my Sarissa units, that's a really big deal to me. Whereas if you lose some dipstick little, Toxotai archer unit or a light cav unit, you don't really care. There's no replacements in this game. There's no step losses. There's no counter reduction pollard chits to facilitate fragmented or fractional losses. So it kind of just breaks the game. And I'm already looking at it going, I'm going to do a bunch of gamey shit. I'm going to rush all my Athenians up and I'm just going to attack every stack. And so it's broken in a bad way. All right, let's have a look at these other comments. And I had 2 questions here to answer, and then we'll get stuck into it. So let's see. Okay, I see a couple of comments there. All right. So the rest of the game, though, for this hegemon, it's really interesting. It's here. Let me show you. I mean, there's the map, and I can't see what you're seeing, but you can see the black units, hopefully, and you can see the Athenians and Thebans, or Thebans, or whatever the hell they're called. And it's fascinating. The movement system and the supply system and the victory conditions and the artwork, the way the map, you can barely see the hex outlines on the hexes. It's fascinating, right? So it looks really, really cool. Combat system, just a big pile of poop. So, back to good news. So I've got a couple of things I want to talk about in terms of new games that have come out, but we can get to that. So someone asked me, what's the best solo system that I like, and I play a lot of games opposed, probably more than you guys realize. I had one of the dudes that does a podcast on the Advanced After Combat podcast said, "Oh, you play your games solo." Well, I don't. I play a lot of my games opposed. And I transfer that experience when I play solo. I guess I can bifurcate my brain a little bit better maybe than some, but I just play a game and I play both sides to the best of my ability. And a lot of the time, that may mean that I am literally just getting up from the table and going and doing something and coming back with a fresh outlook and having a look at, here's what the other side is going to do, and here's how they're going to approach things. I don't remember what the plan is for the other guys. Sometimes in really, really big games like Case Blue or, a big OCS title or something like that, it is, I write down my game plan because I'm playing a monster and you don't want to screw it up too much. So I write down my game plan and I kind of stick to that game plan, which is another way to keep things legit. But I do remember what each side is trying to do. So often we end up in this more stalematey situation than not. But if I find that I'm cheating for one side or the other, then I start rolling a die to make it random. So to me, any game can be played solo, even block games. I don't think block games can't be played solo. I just choose not to play them solo, and I choose probably not to play too many block games, except perhaps Fields of Despair, the new one, or any of the Vento Nuovo games I like a lot. Okay, so there's that. So now you guys are asking about the Second World War. I could go grab all the stuff off the desk and show you some things if you're interested. I don't know who's played it that's watching. I would love to see your comments. So here, we'll do this. I'm going to go grab the game that I have, the Balkan Fury, and that should let us catch up on the lag in terms of timing of questions and things. And if you've played, make a comment. I'll have a look, and then let's talk about why you like the game and what appeals to you about it and what's different to it, if you're prepared to type this much, from Europa. And I'll be right back with a copy of the game, and we'll talk about what I don't like about the game. Yet. Okay. All right, I'm back, and I see a bunch of people have commented, so hopefully that's a good thing. Thanks for waiting. Yeah, any game can play it solo. That's huge. Hey, Chris. Okay, here we go. So, I bought a copy of the Ziploc edition from what's-his-face, from the guy who has done this Europa reboot, right? Because that's really what it is. It's a reboot of the Europa system. 2011 design. This is how it turned up from England, right? In a Ziploc bag. Orders of Battle, nice. This is the way it's printed on the big English paper, so you can't, scan it easily or copy it. The Order of Battle, typical, it's kind of done in the Europa style. So there's the game rules and there's the Order of Battle, and it's by country and by month, and so you've got to go to each country, look up stuff. It's not well organized. Look up the month and fiddle through and try and find all the bits that go together. So wasn't impressed with that. That could have been done better. Small point. Who cares, right? This is the unit identification table. All on a piece of paper. These are the game rules. Also, this is how they come. Now, maybe if you buy the boxed edition, you get these bound up or they're printed professionally. These are the rules. Just point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4, point 5. I've gone through these rules I would say pretty thoroughly. And there's 92 pages here of rules. And when I read these rules, they're basically the Europa rules with some modifications. It doesn't really relieve us of all the math, which is one of the big problems with the mechanized combat in Europa. And the second big problem with Europa is OB silliness, where we have all these flak units and artillery units and all that sort of stuff that you tend to abuse and pile 52 of them into a friggin' hex and change the way the game is played and all this sort of stuff. Europa to me is it's an OB lover's wet dream, but it's not. It's flak units for flak units' sake. Just put the freaking flak unit into the division. They were usually attached by regiment or even by battalion, but certainly by division. So make that inherent and give everyone a flak capability. Don't increase the combat value necessarily, but do that. And add the artillery as well. And if you want to have some special Nebelwerfers or, KDs or 210 millimeter guns or whatever, fine, have separate units for those, but not for every single freaking artillery unit that ever existed, and don't make, minor differences. It's just stupid. So this has all of those problems, and you can end up with 35 units or 40 units in a hex. And here's the size of the hexes, right? Standard size, tiny. Now, is the map art nice? Yes. Are these maps nice? Yes, they are. Okay, so the coup de grace, the final thing. Here is your counter sheet. These are wafer thin. They're nicely printed and they're easy to read, and I'm sure they're going to punch out okay, but they're super thin. So imagine, so here's the depth of 4 units versus 1 from the ATO magazine. Man, I mean, I'm not paying, I don't know, I forget how much I paid for this Ziploc version here, but I'm not paying hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars for this quality. Absolutely not. It's not going to happen. Not when I can get the Grand Tactical System. Now, and I know about scale, and I know about one-man publishers. Don't even talk to me. That's not an excuse. If you can't find someone to make the shit for you and make it right and make it dollar value right, if you don't have enough confidence in your game that you're going to sell 500, then don't make it. But make it right the first time. Anyway, you got me started on this, so here we are. So, and here's the other thing I don't like. Blank backs, right? At least here, the backs are the colors of the nation that they belong to, so it makes sorting easier. But wouldn't it be nice just to have the same information on the back, or something to at least let me know that's an army unit, so I can sort this shit, this thin, scrapey looking stuff together. So, having said all that, am I going to play? 29 pages of charts as well. Thanks for coming. 29 pages. Really? So, having said all that, am I going to play? Probably. I'm probably going to try it out. I am going to inflict this pain upon myself. I'm going to punch this frickin' thing. I'm going to find a very fine pair of tweezers to pick up my little stacks of things. Okay, so look, there's some airplanes on the airplane counters instead of things, and there's individual ships, and you can do stuff. That's great. I just think it's a misguided effort, and it could be done better. And what can I tell you? I expect more. All right, 15 comments. I think I upset somebody. Let's see. Yeah, John Duquette, I would agree with you. I like I I you guys are funny. Yeah, it is too expensive to blindly dive in, and that's why I bought the Balkan Fury because I wanted to try it out first. It's a small game. It's two maps, four counter sheets for the Balkans, right? I've played Marita Makar. I've got that here, and I've got. Do I still have Balkan Fury? I think I sold it. I had it. I had a mint copy of that. And I was really disappointed in Balkan Fury. Marina Bakur had some really cool political conditions that, although they were wrong and broken and didn't work, you actually couldn't win the way the game was structured. It was a cool idea, and I thought, oh well, I bet you they'll fix all that in Balkan Fury, the second edition of the Balkans from Europa. And so I go and buy that game, and it's in mint and shiny. I paid a freaking fortune for it, 70 something dollars for that thing. The first thing I did was pull out the game, pull out the political rules, and pull out the victory conditions and the political rules. And I'm looking for the political rules. There's none because it's just a straight up whoever kills the most guys wins. Really? So I flipped that thing. I think I sold that for $30, and that's all I could get for it because everybody else knew it was a dog except for me. Okay, so you got me started. I'm gonna stop now. Let's talk about good things. So here's a good thing. I gotta pull this crap away. Let me see if I can pronounce this. I'm going to say it fast and loud, and hopefully I'll get it right. Okay? So bear with me. Here we go. Takakatsu. Just got this in from Hexasim Games, and also got Rising Eagles in. And I'm reading the rules to this game for the Sekigahara battle, which I have laid out here. There it is there. You can't see much of the map, but... there it is there. Hopefully you can see bits of it anyway. I'm not sure if you can or not, but it doesn't matter. You'll see some soon enough. Thoughtful, smart design. Where there are hex sides to denote a change in terrain or terrain cost. If there's a hex side line, that means one thing. If there's not a hex side line and there's a break in it, that means another thing. So intuitively, you can look at the map and go, that's 1 point, that's half a movement point, that's 2 movement points. Just like that. Rules book layout. Rules are upstairs. Rules down the middle, examples on both sides, well worded. I haven't found one English grammar error, although I'm probably not the best guy to be doing that. Yet. And examples, I think the examples could actually use little headings so that we would know what they refer to, but generally they're within the range of where the rules are. They've got these really nicely laid out rules, and pretty good counters. I think you guys all know that Hexasim does the self-punching pre-curved counters. You can see those there. They're pretty damn sexy. It uses a chip pool mechanics, so for those solo guys that are excited about playing solo, this is for you fellas. If you like medieval Japan, it's kind of 1580s through to 1600, I think. There's 4 battles in the game, or is it 3? Where's the box lid? I've got a box lid here somewhere. Here we go. Let's move all this crap. Excuse me. 4 battles or 3? 3. Yeah, Yamazaki, 1582. Nagakute, 1584. And Sekigahara, 1600. It's the Sengoku Jidai period. Which ends pretty much with the Battle of Sekigahara or thereabouts. Actually, with the actually ends at the death of the dude that won. No, the dude that lost Sekigahara, because Tokugawa. Then the Tokugawa era takes on. Beautiful box, beautiful presentation, beautiful rules, beautiful maps, beautiful counters, clean, crisp rules. I've got some conceptual issues that I'm trying to rationalize because I haven't played it yet, but I think it'll all come together. And plus, a buddy of mine's got it set up right now, and he's playing. We'll play this face to face first before I play it solo and goof around with it. So, pretty excited about that. That's good stuff. Got Rising Eagles. Got my fingers crossed that Rising Eagles is the game, the battle that lets that system shine. Otherwise, I'm giving up on that system. That'll be it because I think Fallen Eagles is kind of a dud game for me. Doesn't work for me. Let's see. Okay, James. Hey Toro, thank you. Well, I wish we could get you to pronounce that for us. Tenkatoitsu. See, I can't do it. I've had a drink now, and I can't say anything now. Damn it! I used to be okay with the Japanese pronouncing of word thing, pronunciation. So, what was I going to say? Monsters sacrifice something. I don't know. I don't know that any game system has to sacrifice something, particularly if it's a monster game. Particularly if it's $500-600, or because some of those Barbarossa scale games, the whole Scorched Earth stuff, the new thing that John Bannon's doing. If I'm going to pay $400 or $500 and have 92 pages of rules, then I shouldn't have to sacrifice anything. I just shouldn't. The supply should be right. The OB should be right, but let's make sure that it's usable. The game needs to be usable and playable. Having a massive game with lots of smaller map segments and telling me that I can play this massive game for $600 or $700 or $300 or $400, whatever it may be, and play it in small chunks, that's not an answer. If you can't make me a game that I can get on a reasonable size table, say Case Blue scale, Case Blue plus 2 maps, then it's probably no point. Don't make me the largest game in the world. I don't need 5,000 counters or 10,000 counters or however many there are in some of the specific area. I think he did some Singapore thing that's got 5,000 counters. I don't think there's 5,000 soldiers that were worth any shit from the British Army in Singapore. That's not true. It wasn't the British Army. It was more the leadership, wasn't it? So I apologize, British Army. So I think a game can get it right. They can get the air, naval, supply, the armor mechanics, the play sequence, the way that combined arms works together. They can get command and control. They can get all that worked out. And there are ways to do it that don't need to be 92 pages long and that don't need to be as complex and overwrought and overthought. That's just me. I think it can be done right. I think, the EFS system has some gamey aspects to it. I think OCS has some gamey aspects to it. But when you look at it and what the design for effect concepts were, I think they were good choices, right? In the EFS system, they made some choices about when the mech moves, and that's just because it was historical, and it was designed for effect, and I think that's okay. I don't see a lot of that in the TSWW system yet, anyway, because I haven't played it yet, but we'll see. Here's me talking. I haven't played it, right? Maybe it's all just crystal clear and brilliant, and I'm a dick for pooping on it before we get started, right? Before I even play. Well, James, yes, there's lots of ego involved there. You can't have a conversation with Bannon about anything about that game. He doesn't want to hear about it. Yeah, and Lancer, hey, Lancer, welcome, by the way. The 4th edition is coming, right? For Streets of Stalingrad. Let's see. Oh, what was the question? Dang it! I'm sorry, I lost my what's the marketplace? I think there's a big market for those types of games. I really do. There's more than you think. Look at how quickly Devil's Cauldron sold out, and although Where Eagles Dare hasn't, and The Greatest Day or whatever it's called hasn't sold out. Streets of Stalingrad was a small print run, the L2 edition, I think. I don't know that Streets of Stalingrad needs a bigger playing area. Bigger playing area does not equal better playing area per se, despite the research that this guy says he has done. I appreciate that there's extra OB accuracy, right? We found a naval regiment. All right. Who wants to move a bunch of dudes from one side of the river to the other? I don't know that I do. I want to fight the battle. Give me the reinforcements. Delay the stuff based on the boats moving and the bombing of them and stuff like that with Streets of Stalingrad. Come on, let's make the game playable and approachable. The cool thing with the new version is it looks like there's going to be division stripes. It's going to be some sort of way to recognize what formations go together. So that would be handy, because this thing, where is it? This guy. You know, this guy's a hot mess when it comes to trying to find stuff to set up, which is the fundamental reason why I didn't try and play it in the first case. I was going to play the grain elevator game, right? But you know, here's all the brown pieces. And these are big. Look at these huge counter trays, right? Here's all the counters. There's no. Well, there are unit identifiers. I shouldn't say that. You know, this guy's actually got this sorted by 71st Division and all that sort of stuff. Let me have a look at this. Maybe that wasn't the reason why I had trouble. I know I had issues with the formation with the unit icons. Oh yeah, these are just artillery things. These are not the actual units. These are markers. Okay. I don't know what they're for. I don't know what all these things are. All these things are strange to me. Encouraging, right? I found this to be highly procedural, and I'm not sure that what is that guy? Who knows? Am I gonna buy it though? Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to, but I probably will, because I really do want to see the maps, and I'm curious about them. But I love the maps from this game. This game's it's a beautiful game, and it looks like it will work, and I hear great things about it. So I'd probably like to play this before I jump on the bandwagon for the next edition. Oh, I didn't put all the stuff back in. Okay. So, okay, dudes, it's 48 minutes. If you guys want to keep talking, I'll keep talking. You speak Russian, Efote? Man, you're a cool dude. Maybe it will be a better simulation, and that's probably the word, right? Simulation. I don't know if I'm into simulations per se. I'm into games that allow me to explore the history. Look at these maps, big hexes. Look at that stuff. And that's where the game stops, at the Volga. We all know there really wasn't much of a chance to get across the Volga, per se. Are there 3 or 4 maps like that? Look at this. I mean, it's a beautiful, luxurious production. There we go. There's the other half of the city. It's pretty gorgeous stuff. I really should get this to the table. I don't know when, though. It's so hot. So much stuff. Right. All right. Well, Efate, tell me. So you think it might be you like more procedural games? Well, I can see how that might happen, Gustavo, and I can also see that having all the units there is cool. But the Soviets going to win. The Soviets were going to win anyway. I don't know if the extra Marine regiment was going to make a huge difference, but maybe it will. Maybe the OB for the Germans will be even more brittle. Who knows? So, I'm trying to think what else I could share with you that would be of interest, that is viable and doable. I've talked about all the games I kind of wanted to, summarize and give capsule notes on with you. If Gustavo, if you're interested in seeing more on that version of the game, I actually did a video specifically for that game with the maps and everything all laid out, so you could check that out. Koa Chase 123. There is a game that I like for Stalingrad, and it's John Hill's Battle for Stalingrad. You can still buy it in some stores actually. It's there's a Excalibur version. Excalibur Games, which has Battle for Stalingrad, which has a bunch of errata in it still. They redid it. They redid the original Battle for Stalingrad SPI game that John Hill did, and then stuffed it up and made a bunch of mistakes. So, you get what you pay for, right? Trying to get the boxes super tight. It's a good game. Plays really well. The mechanics are good. The counters are excellent in terms of their clarity. It has a very interesting use sequence of play. It's got pretty comprehensive historical notes and rules. It's all glossy rules and quite well spaced out. So it's not as hefty as it looks. This is 48, 50 pages, but it's not really 50 pages of rules. There's a rules supplement and game analysis booklet in here with big charts where you can lay all the units out and everything, and lots of pictures and bits and pieces. So if you're interested in the game, let me show you the map, since maps are part of it. You gotta go and print out all these little pieces of paper and blue tack them on the map to make it accurate, because it's got to be right. But it's a one mapper, and here it is. Let me do this. There we go. I'm going to hold it back a little bit so you can see. But this is the Battle for Stalingrad. And it's a pretty good game. I don't know that you're going to get 5 plays out of it. John Hill tends to design games that you'll play, and once you learn the system, you're kind of done. Once you learn the tricks or the lesson he wanted you to learn, you're done with the game, because there's not much more fun to be had out of it. Some of these games are just not fun. They're a little bit of work, and I think the Battle for Stalingrad lends itself to being a little bit of work. Yeah. So. Crash, bang. There we go. What else we got there? So that's something you could look at, man, and I'd encourage you to have a look around for it. So John Duquette asked me if I play... Yeah, don't ever attack Russia, exactly. Other games, I do play computer war games. In fact, today I did 2 hours with my son. I'm playing Rome and he's playing Carthage in Rome Total War. Thoroughly enjoy that game. I get frustrated with the civilians being pissed off at me all the time, but other than that, that's okay. I have some other games. I just picked up a very cheap minis game on a PC that's a Japanese kind of feudal era skirmish scale thing. I play Tank on Tank from Lock and Load. I don't like the big uber detailed micromanaging economic games per se, but I do enjoy PC war games. But I spend a lot of time on the PC and on the screen anyway, so I tend to lose interest in PC games very quickly. I used to be a first person shooter guy. I used to play a lot of that stuff back when Operation Flashpoint was around. So hopefully that answers the question. All right. Okay, 55 minutes. I think I'm about all talked out here. I don't know. I have too much more to share, and it's always better to end up. I think isn't the rule in video is to leave you wanting more. Not that you may not want more, but you got enough. So I appreciate you guys all checking in and chatting with me. It looks like there's 18 or 20 of you here from what I can see, and we will talk again soon. I thought I'd just share those 3 or 4 different games with you and talk a little bit about my experiences with them. Keep in mind that's my experience with them, and each of those games have been played exactly one time. Although I do think that I am smart enough to understand whether a game is viable and functional after one play, or during one play, or in less than one play in some cases. So we'll look forward to talking to you soon, and I hope you enjoy the chat. Thanks for tuning in, guys.